Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is the solved murder of Ellie Gould, and it involves coercive control. It involves you'll see. This case was suggested by two, so thank you for that. I appreciate any suggestions you guys have, and of course if you do have any more, please do let me know. I will look into them eventually. My list is quite long. I get email suggestions, I get comments on my videos, so I really do try. But it's just hard because I've got a really long lists, and then you guys keep adding, which I'm grateful of course I am. But then obviously there's only so many videos I can do, so yeah, just bear with me. If you really want one of your cases to be done, as I've said it before, then just shout at me again, and I'll make that more of like a priority. But I mean, it just all gets put into a list, and then I just pick out of it. So yeah. Ellie Rose Gould was born on the 6th of February in 2002 to Carol and Matthew, and they lived in Calne, Wiltshire. I apologise if I have butchered that. I have no idea how to say it. But it was a beautiful place, and it's got lovely sights. People just genuinely really think it's such a lovely place to be. Ellie was just so nice. She was bubbly, she was fun-loving, she was very social. She absolutely loved horsing and horse riding. She always had a smile on her face. In fact, she loved horses and horse riding that much that she went and competed in things. She actually wanted to end up going to nationals, and she was also really into cross country. So as you can tell, she was like really into fitness, really into sports and things like that. She wanted to study psychology in university when she got older, and she also wanted to be part of the mounted police. So yeah, she was just she knew what she wanted out of life, and she was gonna go for it. She was a very friendly, bubbly person. She was also very close to a lot of her cousins, one of which especially was one of her cousins called Jess, and they were born like a month apart or something like that. They were practically known as sisters in a sense because they were so close in age, and obviously their parents would spend a lot of time together, and they would spend a lot of time together. They kind of grew up together, and people thought of them as sisters. They were very, very close. She was attending... I'm not going to be able to get this name right. Right, I'm just going to look over there to try and actually get this name right, but I can guarantee you I will fail. I'll probably put up the writing as well, just in case, but yeah, bear with me. So, let me find it. Harden Huish School in Chippenham. Probably wrong, my apologies, but she went to that school. She was, around the time of her death, she was actually studying for her A-levels, and like I said, she just had so many plans for her future. She had a part-time job, she was learning to drive. When she first started school, she made friends super easy. She had this group of 4 friends, well, her included, so it was like 3 friends and her, yeah. Ellie, Harriet and Tilda. And they were just like the closest group of friends like ever. They got so close, they were best friends. And then as time progressed, they started opening up their friends group a little bit, and more sort of boys joined. And this is where sort of Thomas Griffiths comes in. Now, she'd actually known him since year 6, something like that. So they'd known each other a while. But he kind of joined in, started hanging out with the girls and stuff. And then Ellie actually has like her 17th birthday. She's hanging out with all a sort of bigger friend group and enjoying her birthday together. And it's like their relationship just sort of grew. There was something between them. It was said that there was something between them anyway. So whether they were just like really good friends at first, and then they're sort of exploring, thinking, can we be more than friends? Something like that. Don't really know. But Thomas began asking her out, and eventually she agreed. They were having fun together, you know, they were enjoying each other's company at first, but it seems like there was a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but there's not a lot into how their relationship went. It just went good first, initially. And she, like, introduced him to her mother and things like that. Obviously, they already hung out in the same friends group anyway. You know, everything seemed to be going really well, but their relationship would only last 3 months. Now, I've read up on it. There seems to be coercive control involved in this case, and it seems more like on the education side. So Ellie was very much sort of focused on her studies. She wanted to do well in school. She wanted to have all these dreams that she had, and therefore would buckle down and study. She also wanted to spend time with her friends and things. And then it seems to me, at least personally, that Thomas kind of came along, and I don't know whether he was trying to direct her attention from her studies more onto him and their relationship, if you get me, because he wasn't really concerned with his studies. He was just more concerned with a relationship with her, and she more wanted the studies and wanted to concentrate on that, and she didn't really want a serious relationship at this moment in time. So whether it was just getting too much too fast for her, and because he wanted her attention a lot of the time, she felt like she couldn't spend it with her friends, she felt like she couldn't study. I don't actually know, but she talked to her friends about it, she talked to her parents about it, and she discussed that she actually wanted to end the relationship with Thomas. And that is what she did. She ends up sending him a message saying that basically it was over, she didn't want to date him anymore. And then she ends up posting on one of her socials about how relieved she was that she had actually ended it. So she must have felt a lot of pressure in that relationship to be relieved that it was ended, kind of thing. Because normally, even if you like each other, it's like quite a sad time. Even if you know it's the right thing, you still feel sad. But relief, I believe honestly it's because of this coercive control that he had over her. And I mean, I do understand that as well. A guy that just wants you to have your attention solely on him, and they don't let you go with friends. They don't want you to hang out with your friends because they want you to be with them all the time. It's not a good place to be in. And I totally understand the pressures of what she was feeling under that. So yeah, that's probably what it was. But again, that's just sort of assumption. The thing is that Thomas did not take the breakup well at all. And then we jump forward to the 3rd of May. I believe she actually ended it on the 2nd of May. I think I read that, somewhere. But then, now we're on the next day, we're on the 3rd of May. I might be wrong with that. Surely not. Surely that's not right. Disregard that, because surely she didn't break up with him and then this happened the next day, right? I don't know. Just ignore me on that one. We're now on the 3rd of May in 2019, and she didn't actually have any classes in that morning. So a lot of you may be aware that when you're taking your exams and things, sometimes they're at a certain time, you don't have to go in the morning because your exam's in the afternoon or whatever. So that was that. She didn't have the class in the morning. I believe she had history in the afternoon. So basically her plan was to study at home in the morning alone because her parents would have been at work. It was something she normally did, it's usual for her. And then she was gonna get a lift from her friend Ellie, also called Ellie. At 12 p.m, she actually texts her saying, can you pick me up at 12 and we'll go in and we'll sort of together and study. So that was the plan. That was what they were gonna do. But then about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, Carol, who's at work, receives a frenzied phone call from her husband Matthew, who basically says that an accident has happened and that she needed to get home straight away. So he got home from work himself, I believe, and he finds Ellie. He sees her feet sticking. He sees her feet sticking from the side of the counter and knows that something's wrong straight away. She's on the floor. So rushes over. He finds blood absolutely everywhere. And she's lied face down in the pool of blood. Her right arm is extended over and kind of has a knife in it, which is in her neck. So I can't even imagine finding that, your own child, 17-year-old. I just can't. He rings the police and the services and the ambulances, everyone. Then, of course, he rings his wife. She rushes home, finds that police are on a street, rushes in, and that is when they sadly tell her that there has been this accident or something has happened and that her daughter is deceased. Now, when the paramedics got there, they couldn't do anything at that point. She was already gone. It's believed that she had already been deceased for 3 hours. So there was nothing that they could do, sadly. When police got there, they looked at the scene, right? And they're thinking it looks a bit suspicious that Ellie's face down with this knife in her neck. They started asking questions to the parents, who was she was fun-loving, happy, never any thoughts like that, never anything. So there was sort of no inkling towards that whatsoever. They began asking more questions about friends, about, you know, everything that they could to try and find information on it. And they thought it was pretty suspicious themselves. And then the investigation quickly turned into a murder investigation when they found that she had been stabbed like multiple times in the neck. They also found out through friends and things and parents about Tom, who had recently been broke up. Her friends actually sent in, I believe, social media posts about their breakup and things like that to the police. And you may be thinking as well that her friend was supposed to pick her up at 12, right? Ellie. Well, Ellie actually was contacted because everyone thought that too. And she actually said that she received a message about 11:45 from Ellie saying that, you know, she wasn't going to bother going in, don't bother picking up, she was just going to stay home. So she never ended up going that day. So police finding out about Thomas and thinking that he may not have been the happiest person about the breakup, they went and spoke to him. Obviously they speak to lots of people, but people in relationships and close like that, family and things like that, the first people that they talk to, you guys know that already, I don't really need to tell you that. So they go and speak to him. They find out that he was dropped off in school in the morning. He was asking friends like where Ellie was, and then suddenly he just disappears. Like he actually went and left school again. But he claimed that that was because he was ill and he ended up going back home. His mum came back at about 10ish, I believe, and he ends up hiding in the wardrobe from her because he didn't want her to know that she was there. He was there. No idea. Honestly, it sounds really suspicious and weird. But, you know, when you find out what he did, then that's probably why. So later on, he ends up talking to his neighbour about how he's having these feelings about self-harm and things like that, and that, you know, he has all these thoughts. They ended up dropping him back off at school, and this is when he goes and speaks to a nurse and tells them that everything. And then his mum, they tell his mum, and she ends up taking him back home again. The police kept digging. They really thought that he had something to do with this. They found that his phone had been turned off for like an hour at a certain point in the day, and then it was turned back on again, like so many yards away from his home. They go and check that spot, and they find a bag which has evidence in it. They go and test that, and it's got blood on it. They go and test that, and of course it matches Ellie's blood. They also had a witness come forward to say that they saw a sort of teenager that fit Tom's description in the area around the time. So police go into looking and tracking this phone, and along with CCTV images and things like that, they actually find his parents' car heading towards Ellie's house. Bearing in mind he didn't have a license, so there you go. He drove that car illegally. They began building their case. They had the witness, they had the footage, they had the trail of the phone. They ended up finding his work shoes, which had blood on them. He only wore them for work, and that blood matched Ellie's blood. So, I mean, even though he was saying that he had nothing to do with it, everything was stacking up against him. Basically, they found out that on the day that he had actually gone home, you know, asking where Ellie was, he went home. He changed into a black hoodie and his black work shoes. His mum came home, he hid in the closet and waited for her to go. This is when he then got the keys to her car and took her car and drove that to Ellie's, which was caught on CCTV. It's believed that possibly they got into some sort of argument and he ended up strangling her. And then, while she was unconscious, he stabbed her in the neck multiple times. He then cleaned up the scene, wiped his fingerprints off of everything. And then he put it in her hand and reinserted it into a wound to make it look like she'd done it herself. Staged the entire thing. He then used her phone to unlock her thumbprint, fingerprint to unlock her phone, and sent that text message to her friend so that her friend didn't come across her earlier. And he cleaned up. He went home, he got changed, he put everything in that bag, he dumped the bag before he entered the house. That's when he obviously turned his phone back on and basically tried to get away with her murder. Thank goodness he didn't get away with it. In a lot of these cases, obviously, all this time he's saying that he didn't do it, he's not guilty, yada yada yada. So they're building up a case against him. They're trying to find the evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he is the one that killed her. When it goes to trial, when he pleads not guilty and they end up with the trial, well, he actually surprised everyone and he did plead guilty to the murder of Ellie Gould. That was on the 29th of August in 2019. He did say that he remembers strangling Ellie, but he does not remember anything else after that. It was as if he blacked out. He did have some scratches on his neck, which he claimed was him doing it to himself. It wasn't Ellie's, you know, sort of scratching self-defense. And there were no, when they believed that she was unconscious whilst he was sort of attacking her with the knife, because there was no defensive wounds on her hands or anything like that. So normally you would put your hands up to try and protect yourself. There was none of that, so she probably was already unconscious at that point, you know. It was ruled that they didn't have enough evidence to basically say that Ellie's murder was premeditated. He didn't take a weapon with him or anything like that, so they just didn't have the evidence for that. But there was no need for a trial. He pled guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 12.5 years because of his age at the time. He wasn't able to receive basically a life tariff for her murder, which is just infuriating, because at the end of the day, he literally took someone else's life brutally, and just because he's a year too young, is it a year? I think it's a year. He didn't get a full sentence. It's so frustrating. I know that her family have really campaigned and her friends have really campaigned to try and get these things changed, and they brought out laws and things like that. They tried to campaign to put self-defense classes in their schools and things like that. They've done so much, and it's just really frustrating that Thomas basically will only serve 12.5 years for this. It's crazy how fast this case escalated. Literally within 3 months of her doing him, he killed her. That is crazy. Like, I've seen a lot of these cases, a lot of stalking, like, you know, the men are abusive or the women are abusive. They get out of the relationship, they stalk them, they don't want to let them go. And there was no evidence, as far as I could see, that he was stalking or anything like that. Just the pure escalation of going from being dumped 3 months later, murderer. It's just mental. And again, it involves this coercive control I keep seeing cropping up in a lot of these cases recently that I've been looking into. And it's just horrific. So, yeah. That's the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of Ellie Gould. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.